Thank you for being here. Welcome to Why Your Child's IEP Isn't Working and What to Do About It. If you found this training, it's probably because something in your child's education doesn't feel right and you're trying to figure out what to do about it. By the end of our time together, you'll understand why your child's IEP isn't working and exactly how to handle it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or even unsure where to start, that's completely normal and you're in the right place. This training is for general educational purposes only and is not specific legal advice. This training is for parents who are trying to do the right thing, but may be feeling ignored, overwhelmed, or talked around in meetings. Maybe you've been trusting the school to do the right thing, but you realize that you're actually seeing very little to no progress, and you're wanting different results for your child, but you're not quite sure how to get them. Stay tuned to the end of this training for a special offer that's only available through this webinar. I'm Michelle Kotler. I'm a special education attorney, licensed in Maryland since 2001. I hold a Juris Doctor, Master of Education, and Bachelor of Science, all from the University of Maryland, and my master's and bachelor's degrees are both in special education. I have over 30 years of experience in special education as a certified teacher, school administrator, program creator, educational evaluator, advocate, and attorney. I'm also the mother of a child with special needs, so I've walked the same journey that you're on right now. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, and let's take a quick pop quiz. True or false? I need to be a professional advocate to get results. That statement is false. You do not need to be a professional advocate to get results for your child. You don't need any kind of certification or licensure. You don't even need a college degree. You just need to learn a certain skill set and a certain body of knowledge to get to the end result. Next, true or false? I don't have time to learn what I need to know about this. Well, that statement may feel true because you're a very busy person, but I would contend that the real answer to that question or that statement is false. And the reason for that is you're probably already spending more time than you might realize on your child's education, particularly if your child is struggling. Many parents spend an exorbitant amount of time Googling, talking to ChatGPT, watching YouTube videos, reading books, talking to parents in Facebook groups, in Reddit, talking to other parents in real life, laying awake at night, worrying, tossing and turning, maybe feeling frustrated, losing time from work to attend meetings or pick your child up from school early due to behavior, and so on. So there's a great deal of time and energy already being spent on this. It's just not being spent in the most efficient and coordinated fashion that actually would give you time back. Next, true or false? I need a lawyer to go to a due process hearing. Well, that statement may seem true because most parents don't have the knowledge base to go to a due process hearing, but it's actually false. The U.S. Supreme Court has specifically ruled that parents do not need to be represented by counsel to take their school system to a due process hearing. Parents just need to learn a body of knowledge and a set of skills to be able to represent their child at a hearing. And last but certainly not least, true or false? I'm sure I know exactly what my child's special needs are. Well, that one could actually go either way. It could be true that your child has been accurately diagnosed and identified with all of their special needs, and that statement is true. However, you might be surprised to learn that for millions of children, that statement is actually false. Millions of children suffer from hidden disabilities that prevent them from being able to learn and that are often misdiagnosed as other problems such as ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, other kinds of learning disabilities, language impairments, emotional disturbance such as depression, anxiety, and more. There's a silent problem that you're facing and that you might not be aware of, which is that schools are not legally required to maximize your child's potential or any child's potential. They are only required to meet minimum legal standards, and complying with those minimum standards is their goal and their intention. Most parents are never really told this because the schools are very good at paying lip service to their obligations. They make it seem like they really care about your child. They're bending over backwards to help your child. They're putting all kinds of supports and services in place for your child and all kinds of interventions. But they're not really delivering the kind of quality that's required for your child to achieve and receive an appropriate education. And the bottom line behind this issue is saving money for the school district. To do the job right is a time intensive and a labor intensive process that requires a number of skilled personnel on staff, and many school districts have really short staffed their special education departments to save money. So, you're obviously a caring and well intentioned parent because you're taking time out of your busy life to attend this training. And your good intentions matter. But unfortunately, they're not enough to equate to the actual results that your child needs to succeed. The bureaucratic system you're facing is designed to reward minimum compliance, not outcomes for your child. In other words, if your child fails, these people still get paid. Their compensation is not tied to your child's achievement or success. So for them, they are following the bare minimum rules that they can get away with. Attending meetings does not equate to successful advocacy. Asking the school system to do things nicely does not equate to effective legal leverage. And unfortunately, it seems counterintuitive, but trusting the school system to do the right thing for your child is not the same thing as actually protecting your child's education. There are two reasons why most IEPs fail. The first one is that the program modifications are either missing from the IEP or are not being provided in real life. Modifications are changes to the material. They are changes to what your child is supposed to be learning. In other words, they are changes to the curriculum, the content, the textbooks, the classwork, the homework, the tests, the quizzes, the projects, and so forth. Accommodations are changes to the learning environment, how much time your child has to do something, where your child sits to do something, the way in which the material is presented to your child, the way in which your child is allowed to give a response. Those things are changed compared to their non-disabled peers. These are two different things. Changes to the what are the modifications, changes to the how are the accommodations. They are both legally required under the IDEA, and they are both extremely important for your child to be able to succeed and receive an appropriate public education. The one question that you need to ask the school is, can you show me examples of the curriculum that you have modified to my child's instructional level? Modifications are not theoretical. They are visible. You should be able to see the work all the other children are doing, and that the work they give your child to do is different. You should also see examples of work your child has completed successfully without support from another student or an adult. When you ask to see work that's been modified to your child's instructional level, that means you want to see schoolwork that's been prepared for your child that is neither too easy nor too hard. Think of it like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Your child's schoolwork needs to consistently be like Baby Bear's porridge, chair, and bed. It can't be too easy, it can't be too hard, it has to be just right. If the school is not modifying your child's work properly, the work is not accessible, and your child simply cannot do it. What happens when your child is given schoolwork that is not modified properly? Well, you probably are already seeing the results of this. Chronic frustration is very common, and it leads to behaviors such as withdrawing, acting out, putting her head down, running around the room, throwing books or papers on the floor, refusing to comply, refusing to do work, learned helplessness, which means not trying new things because they are probably going to be too difficult, anxiety, depression, arguing about going to school, skipping school, and other forms of school avoidance, such as dropping out altogether. The school may tend to blame your child and view your child as being a behavior problem, but the real root cause of your child's behavior is the school's failure to modify their work. In fact, it's quite common for a school to recommend everything except the one thing that they need to do, which is to modify your child's work. Your child might have a functional behavioral assessment, a behavior intervention plan, suspensions, detentions, rewards, punishments. The school might want you to fix the problem at home. They might put your child in an alternative education program or after school tutoring. They might want you to pay for tutoring, therapy, medication, and other things. But what your child actually needs and what the law requires is the one thing that the school system won't do. So, what can you do about this? Let's say you've asked them to show you modified work and there really isn't any. Well, now you can call an IEP meeting. You can call an IEP meeting at any time. You don't have to wait for the annual review. And let's say you have a good conversation with the school staff about this modifications issue, and they give you this great dog and pony show, and they tell you how important modifications are, and yes, you're right, and they understand, and they know your child is struggling, and they want to do all this wonderful work to help your child. Well, now you need to say, let's add these modifications to the IEP. This is where the rubber meets the road. The school might dance around it. They might add a little bit of language to the IEP to try to placate you, but not really go in depth and detail into the program modifications that your child actually needs in every class in order to succeed. They might even outright refuse to add any new modifications to the IEP at all. Any of these outcomes are a giant red flag. If they won't write substantial modifications into the IEP, it's because they do not want to provide them, and they are not going to provide them. The school knows that if something is written in the IEP, like modifications, they are legally accountable to provide them. If the team pushes back against your request, it's probably because they don't have adequate staffing to do the job right, because program modifications are time and labor intensive work that require the expertise of special education teachers. Program modifications are legally required under the IEP, under the IDEA, as a separate component of an IEP in addition to accommodations. They are two different things and they cannot be used interchangeably. An IEP will contain a statement of program modifications in order to be legally compliant. In other words, the school team has to check the box for the IEP to pass muster in order for the software to finalize the IEP. But if the program modifications are not substantial and not sufficient to meet your child's unique needs in all areas affected by the disability, or if they are not being provided in reality, in other words, the IEP is not being implemented, the IEP will not work. There are some common deflections that the school team might use when you ask them to enhance your child's program modifications. They might say things like, "We don't do that here." "Your child just needs to try harder." Or, "We don't lower our standards for anyone. We have high expectations for our students." You might be shaking your head right now because you've heard the school team say these things to you. You see, I've attended hundreds, if not thousands, of IEP meetings. I've led hundreds of due process hearings. I've heard it all. And what they're actually telling you is, we don't have the capacity to do what you're asking us to do. And therefore, we're not going to follow the law. The second reason why most IEPs fail is that your child might be struggling with a hidden disability that has never been addressed. In fact, this issue is surprisingly common, affecting 1 in 4 children, which results in millions of children not receiving appropriate evaluations, treatment, and educational interventions. The good news is that you can actually transform learning when you figure out that these hidden barriers exist and they are removed. This happened to my own child, so I have seen it firsthand. But the key is that you have to know which specialist to take your child to. And the hardest part about all this is that no one will tell you. No doctor, no teacher, no therapist, no psychologist, and no attorney. And the reason why is 99% of them or more don't know about these hidden disabilities. So they can't tell you how to help your child when they themselves are not familiar with the root cause of these problems. It's enormously frustrating, and people will go their whole lives without ever knowing that they have one of these conditions. In fact, schools and doctors often see the symptoms of these problems, and it's quite common for them to be misdiagnosed as other things that people have heard of, such as ADHD, dyslexia, learning disabilities, anxiety, depression, and more, when the real root cause is something that is virtually completely treatable without medicine and without surgery, if only you knew where to take your child for help. So, what can you do if the school pushes back and refuses to modify your child's work properly? Well, this can become complex, and learning how to handle situations like this is exactly why I've developed my masterclass, The Parent's Playbook for Special Education Success. The Parent's Playbook is the only tool of its kind that teaches you how to find hidden disabilities so that you can finally help your child succeed like never before. It's the only tool that teaches you how to advocate for your child like a professional would, but without the high price tag. The playbook teaches you exactly what you need to do and how to do it step by step so you can level the playing field with your child's school system because the schools are in the superior position. They create all the data about your child. They have a lot more knowledge about how all this is supposed to work. And they have a team of lawyers on standby, just a phone call away. You have to learn how to take control of these situations so that you can finally transform your frustration into success. There's an internal shift that you need to make in order to change your child's outcomes. Confidence comes from learning the rules and calmly applying them. This is called developing competence. What you need is a strategic system that teaches you what the law requires, how to respond to situations in real time, and how to protect your child's rights so that you can learn exactly what to do step by step from start to finish. And the parent's playbook creates exactly that kind of competence and confidence. Listen closely to the shift that Letitia Howard in California experienced when she took the parent's playbook for special
It
education
definitely helped me
success.
navigate the IEP process, the meeting, and it helped me be able to take control of the meeting. Once they were saying something that I knew wasn't true, and it's like, nope, nope, we're not using that. I would correct them, and then I was able to get a lot more completed or a lot more of what I requested since I knew what I was talking about. Yes, very, very helpful.
Most parents I work with tell me they're thinking when you learn a systematic way to advocate strategically, you level the playing field with the school system and things begin to change. Your frustration and anxiety will finally transform into confidence and empowerment. Meetings will shift tone. When you start using the same language that the professional educators use, they'll take notice of that. They might even ask you, how do you know all this? You'll find the help that your child may really need to be successful by finally diagnosing these hidden disabilities and getting them treatment so that their suffering can end. You'll finally learn how to hold the school's bureaucracy accountable. And most importantly, your child's educational and emotional outcomes will improve. So, what is all this worth? Well, what does it cost when a child loses years of educational opportunity that they can never recover? How do you put a price tag on the stress and fear that keep you awake at night? The confusion of listening to conflicting opinions or getting information from different sources that doesn't add up? Or the feeling that you're always reacting to problems instead of staying in control and leading from the front. And now compare that to the alternative of getting a decade's worth and $250,000 worth of formal education to gain this expert knowledge that I have, or paying $10,000 up front just to walk through the door of a lawyer's office. And if you want to go to a due process hearing to fight for your child's rights, forget about it. That'll easily cost you $40,000 to $100,000. In fact, I had a client in Maryland who came to me after she took out a $40,000 loan to hire another special education firm to go to a due process hearing for her child, and they lost anyway. She's still paying that loan back plus interest. And I met a mom in Texas for a consultation who pulled $100,000 out of her retirement account to hire lawyers to go to due process for her child, and they lost anyway. So these are real numbers I'm sharing with you. And I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying it to show you the value of having the right information early. There's a smarter way to advocate for your child, one that saves you time, money, and emotional bandwidth. So, if you were looking at a comprehensive masterclass that gives you all of this information and teaches you step by step exactly what to do from start to finish so that you can get to the end result you want as quickly as possible, and you're getting lifetime access to this content without knowing the price, most people would expect something like this to reasonably cost several $1,000s. If you were working one on one with an attorney or paying for piecemeal consultations and guidance over time, this level of support would easily cost several $1,000s. And for many families, that simply isn't realistic. I didn't want cost to be the reason parents stayed stuck. So I built the Parents Playbook as a complete step by step advocacy system and made it available in a way that's accessible to as many families as possible. Instead of spending thousands of dollars up front, the playbook is available in only 4 monthly installments of $249. You'll get actionable steps, documents, and strategic guidance from start to finish without the large retainers, the hourly fees, and the stress of trying to figure it all out on your own. On the right side of your screen, you'll see a small gift icon that may have a red dot on it. Go ahead and click that now. Then click the blue button. That will take you directly to the Parents Playbook, the full system I've been talking about today. So if you're ready to transform your frustration into clarity and confidence, click the gift icon on the right and the blue button to get started now. For most parents, the detailed step by step guidance of the playbook is enough. However, I've learned that some parents want something extra. They want more support from me. That's why I've created my inner circle. It's not for everyone, and it's not required to complete the playbook. But if you'd like to be part of my community of parents and get hands on support from me, this inner circle is for you. Members of my inner circle get monthly small group video calls with me, ongoing support with playbook questions answered as you work through the material, and a trusted space for parents to come together who want clarity. My inner circle is only available to parents through this webinar. In fact, if you go to my website at parentsplaybook.org, you won't see any mention of the inner circle at all. So if you want to join my inner circle, the only way to do that is to click the button below before this webinar closes and use the coupon code webinar for access. In order to make this decision as easy as possible, here's my promise to you. If you join my inner circle today, you finished the masterclass in 90 days, and you honestly did not learn one new thing from me, I'll refund you every penny. And the reason I can make this promise to you is because I know the enormous value that I've packed into this masterclass, and I've had parents who've taken it tell me, I wish I had this years ago. So I'd like to leave you with this parting thought. Be the parent your child needs you to be. No one else is riding to the rescue. If you're ready to move forward with clarity and confidence, click the button below. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. Thank you for showing up for your child, and I truly hope to see you in the inner circle very soon. Thanks for showing up for your child. and good luck.